Well, friends, welcome back. Voice is audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we'll continue our discussion from that point where we had left, that B2B transaction, B2C transactions, or B2B invoice, B2C invoice, those things we are going to learn. I'm going to share the screen now. The PPT will be shared with you. Is it visible to you? Screen is visible. B2B,
Yes,
B2C.
sir.
So,
B2B, B2C. So we'll first understand what is B2B invoices. We had seen those kind of invoices. So B2B means business to business transaction. Here what happens, the customer is also a registered person. And advantages of this kind of customer is that he is eligible to take input tax credit. Right. So in our previous examples, in the accounting entries, we have understood if the person is a registered person and he has purchased something on which he had paid GST, that he can avail input tax credit, which we call it as ITC. So in this kind of transaction, the supplier needs to maintain a detailed record. Detailed record in the sense invoice-wise detail needs to be maintained. Because at the time of filing return, subsequently in future we'll be learning the process of filing returns at a very basic level. We'll be learning there what will be required in case of B2B suppliers. Invoice-wise details will be required. So, okay, let me go back and show you some B2B invoices. Earlier I had, I think, shown you. Yeah, here are some. This is B2C. This is one invoice I had shown you, one more invoice I had shown you. Okay, this is one kind of B2B invoice I had told you, and this is an interstate invoice. Okay, this is supplier's GSTN, and this is recipient's GSTN. Here what happens, the recipient is availing the services. He can take input tax credit. Okay, how much tax credit he can take? Which tax? Who can, by seeing the bill, who can tell me? So how much of
IGST
IGST, how much?
70.
70,000.
70,000.
629. 70,629. This much input credit this consumer can take. Okay, this consumer is Allahabad Bank. So Allahabad Bank with this GSTN can take credit of this thing. One more bill I'm showing you. This is also an B2B invoice. You can see the GSTN of customer and GSTN of supplier. And here, what kind of ITC this person can take?
The CGST and SGST.
GST, because both of them belong to the same state. So this is the credit one person can take. Okay. And here, if this kind of supplies are made, one case is IGST or SGST. Here, what is required for the supplier? Invoice-wise detail. Every invoice-wise, for example, invoice number. Invoice number, can you find out here what is invoice number in this bill? These kind of invoices are called as tax invoice. Okay, tax invoice you can see. Can you tell me what is invoice number from this invoice?
So it's in the top right corner.
2021, that PRP 007.
Yeah, that is invoice number. Subsequently, we'll be learning, when we're learning invoicing or GST, there is a requirement that maximum number of digits for invoices can be 16 digits. And you see this is within 16 digits. Okay, there is a requirement to do so. At that time, we will learn it. So this is invoice number. Can you tell me what is invoice date?
22nd June.
22nd June 2020. What is the state code of the recipient?
21.
I am showing you different invoice now. Now tell me what is the state code of the recipient? Can you tell me? State code of the recipient. Recipient you have understood?
29.
29. Yeah, not 21. 21 is the state code of the supplier.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you can see this is supplier's detail, invoice number, etc. This is supplier's detail, supplier's GST, and this is his state code. Okay, so by seeing the invoice, you should be able to understand this thing. So like this, these details need to maintain because at the time of filing return, we need all these things. We need all these things at the time of filing return. For B2B supplies, invoice with details, both state level and interstate supplies. That needs to be uploaded in GSTR1. You need not attach or did not upload the scanned copies of the invoice. Exact copies of the invoice is not required, but detail of the invoice. Detail means first of all GSTIN. Then what else is required? Can you read it out? All these things which are there in red colored font, they are required. Can you read it out?
Invoice number, invoice date, taxable value,
taxable value, then rate of
rate
tax,
of tax,
amount of tax,
invoice value.
Invoice value. All these things need to be uploaded at the time of filing GSTR1. Okay. So what happens in our accounting packages also? You might be learning some of the accounting packages. Are you learning some accounting packages in your course curriculum? Some accounting packages are taught to you.
Tally.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Tally.
Yeah. Which accounting package you are learning?
Sir, Tally.
Okay. If you are learning Tally ERP, there also provision is there. So you can find out statutory reports. There you can find out automatically Tally will generate all these details. All these details will be readily, all these kinds of B2B supplies, Tally will be providing you all these details in one single sheet. So that can be helpful for uploading GSTR1 data. You can try that thing. Okay. Fine. Now, coming to next part. B2C invoice. You know, B2C invoice means business to what?
Customer.
Business to customer or business to consumer, you can say. But here, you know, B2C is business to consumer. But here, keeping in view the requirements of GST law, we are classifying this B2C consumers or B2C category of supplies into two more categories. One we call it as the B2C small and one we call it as B2C large. Are you getting me? B2C small and B2C large. Why we are classified? Because our return requirement is like this. We need to file returns. And in that return, so different data are asked. So for us small retailers, as small B2C invoices and large B2C invoices. Now first we'll understand what is the meaning of B2CS. B2CS I am calling it as B2C small. Okay. Just give me a moment. Well, let us see. Now, what is B2C's B2C small transaction? The consumer is an unregistered person. In B2C transaction, consumers are unregistered. They are not eligible to take ITC. Right? Okay. Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So please keep on responding. So in B2C transaction, the consumer does not take ITC, that is input tax credit, because he's not a registered person. It doesn't have any GSTIN. And B2C transactions, consolidated details are required. Consolidated details, that means first case you see B2B transaction, what is required? Invoice wise detail. For individual invoice, details are required. But here consolidated details are required for all intrastate sales for each tax rate. There are various tax rates are there. For each tax rate, consolidated details of intrastate sales and interstate sales. Okay, these things are required with invoice value up to 2,50,000. That means if it is more than 2,50,000 rupees, then invoice details are required. But for small supplies up to value 2,50,000, then what is required? Consolidated details are required. And this consolidated details needs to be uploaded in GSTR 1 return. So state-wise summary of each rate of tax should be reported in GSTR 1. And what kind of details are required? The state, taxable value, rate of tax, amount of tax. All these things in a consolidated manner needs to be uploaded in GSTR 1. Uploading part we'll be learning later on, but right now you have to understand one thing is B2C invoices. Here we'll remember that they are the small invoices up to value of rupees 2,50,000. And what is B2C large invoices? That means invoice value of more than 2,50,000. Okay. And B2C large transaction, the consumer is also an unregistered person. He is also not eligible to take input tax credit. Okay. And here, since these are large invoices or large transaction, invoice-wise detail of interstate supplies with invoice value of 2,50,000 rupees needs to be uploaded. For interstate supplies, invoice-wise details are required. Therefore, for all the large invoices, one need to keep the invoice-wise data. For small invoices, consolidated data will do. But small invoices with interstate sales value beyond 2,50,000, then also invoice-wise details are required. Nowhere scanned copy of the invoice is required. You need not upload the scanned copy of the invoices. Only specific data which are called for, like place of supply, invoice number, invoice date, taxable value, rate of tax, amount of tax, and invoice value should be declared and it should be uploaded at the time of filing of the return. Is it clear to you, or you find it little confusing? Is it clear? Others?
Yes, sir.
It's clear to you, Aditi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, have you understood what is, so loosely you tell me or roughly give me some idea. B2B, I know all of you have understood. What is B2B small and B2B large? Sorry, B2C small and B2C large. Large invoice means?
That having an invoice value greater than 2,50,000.
Okay, having the invoice value greater than 2,50,000. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now, after having understood that concept, we'll be entering into in a different area. It's a different concept we need to understand. That is GST rate structure. This slide is visible to you. GST rate structure.
Yes.
Okay, it's visible to you. You see, this is again, these rates keeps on changing from time to time. For the timing, I'm telling you, these are the rates. And different items, different rates are applicable for different items. That also keeps on time to time. Government keeps on changing. So something which was there, let us say 18% category or 18% schedule, that may be sometimes again changed, that may be brought to 12% schedule. This thing happens. This thing keeps on changing. Therefore, what is required is that you should update yourself. The data is available with that website from where I had downloaded. The latest rate is given to you. You can check all this matter. But in future, if you need to check what is the rate applicable to a particular supply, be it goods or be it services, always you need to have the latest data. You can get it confirmed from the website, CBIC website. You can go and you can check. Okay. Now, how many rates I am showing you now? Tell me. Anurag,
Yes, sir.
how many rates I'm showing you?
Sir, 4 rates, sir.
4 rates are there. One is exempted, you can call as zero rate, otherwise 5%. There are some goods to whom 5% tax is applicable. Some supplies are there where 12% rates are applicable, and some supplies 18% is applicable, and some cases 28% is applicable. But maximum supplies are covered under this category, 18%. Roughly around, you can say, around 41 or 42% of the total items are covered here under 81% category. Sorry, 18% category. Right? And these are some luxury items are covered here where 28% tax is levied. But there also, there are two possibilities that 28% on these items, there will be some items on which additional thing, which is called as cess, or we call it as a compensatory cess or GST cess. That's also one more concept I will be explaining what is this compensatory cess or GST cess. And some of these items, cess is levied, that is, I can say, additional tax. And some items are there without cess. Okay. Normally, the items like luxury items or items, what we call it as the demerit items like tobacco products, etc. These are some products on which these demerit items and luxury items, additional tax in the form of cess or compensatory cess is levied. Have you understood this structure? Did you understand this structure so that you can move ahead? Okay. Now, where from you can get the rates? You see, I'm showing you, I'm taking you to this website, cbic.gov.in. I had shown you earlier. You can go here, GST laws, rules, and rates, and you can find out GST rates, Ready Reckoner Finder. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing it here? Is
Yes,
it visible? Here you can download. So
Yes,
as it is believed that again, we don't believe in memory-based learning. You need not memorize anything. You need not remember any rate, but you need to know where we are collecting all these things, where we are collecting these rates. You should know what is the source. So as people say, a good lawyer need not know what is law. He can still manage because law is in the book. He can refer, he can Google, he can find out what is law. But what is more important is that you should know where the law is. Okay. So here also in our subject, you should know where the law is. Where the law is here, books we have seen, act is there, rules is there, notification, ordinance, everything is here. GST rates are here. You can see this is the place, this is the original source of law. And all GST books, for all GST books or for all GST writers, this is the primary source. They collect data from this source and they present it in a book form. So directly you can have access to this data and directly you can find out all the books here. Understood? But again, I repeat, frequently visit to those websites which I had told you so that you can understand many things about GST, about other indirect taxes also you can learn. Okay? You can download your own. I had already mailed you exam various things. This is the website cbic.gov.in. You can visit. GST rates are available here. Now, once you know that rates are available, how will find what is the item for this item for these goods and services? These goods and services are classified according to a particular system. Goods are classified by following a particular system. That system is called as HSN. HSN stands for, can you read it? HSN
Harmonized
stands
system of nomenclature.
harmonized system of nomenclature. That means nomenclature of the names are harmonized. Otherwise, different people will be calling the same thing in a different way. Therefore, it is harmonized. How it is harmonized? By assigning a code to that item. Suppose I am saying, let us say, I'll be talking about something like this. Suppose I am showing a marker. Marker should be understood as a marker. It's not a sketch pen. It's not something else. It's not a ball pen. It's not a dot pen or like this. So how to understand that thing? If there is a specific code is assigned, so then you can find it out. So might be under plastic items chapter, you can find out there is a product which is called as marker. So once you know this is a marker, find out the code, the rate applicable to the code will be charged as tax. Okay. So the chapters referred in this rate schedule are the goods that are in the chapters of the first schedule of the Custom Tariff Act 1975. So in our paper also we'll be learning a little bit of customs duty portion. That is also one more kind of indirect tax. So in the Customs Tariff Act 1975, the first schedule, this HSN codes are there. Okay, the scheme of classification will be according to that code. So I think I should show you that code. Would you like to see that code, how it looks like? Would you like
Yes,
to
sir.
see? Okay, I'll be showing you. Just a minute. I'm showing you the first schedule to customs tariff. Is it visible to you? Are you seeing it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, this is a part of Custom Tariff Act. You know, after Act finishes, let us say in the Companies Act, once the Act, all the sections are over, we find schedules: Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4. Companies law you might be knowing. Similarly, under Custom Tariff Act, there are some schedules. Once the Act sections are over, then schedules start. You see how a schedule looks like. What is here? The first schedule to the Customs Tariff Act. This is the first section. There are several sections, and inside this is called as the chapter notes. Inside that you see chapter 1. Chapter 1 talks about live animals. Live animals are classified like this. Okay, various live animals are there. We can go down chapter 1. You see these are codes. You can find out some codes. Let us say this is the code for cow. This is the code for bull. Is it visible to you?
No, sir.
It's not visible. I think some internet issues are there. Is it visible now?
No, sir.
Just wait a minute. If that is so, let me change the net connection. Nothing is visible on the screen. What you are seeing on the screen?
Sir, we are seeing your folder contents.
Okay, you are seeing a folder content. You are not seeing this thing. Files you are unable to see. Acha, acha, wait a minute. I'm trying to show you once again. What you are seeing now, slide. What are you seeing now?
Sir, PPT.
PPT you are seeing now. You are not seeing the desktop.
Yes, sir.
You are seeing the desktop or not?
So
Yes,
we are
sir.
seeing the desktop.
Yes, sir.
You are seeing the desktop. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Now you are seeing the folder.
Yes, sir.
Are you seeing a PDF file now? Are you seeing a PDF
Yes, sir.
file? Okay. This is in fact
Yes,
the,
sir.
is it readable now? The first schedule to Customs Tariff Act 1975. Okay. In case you see, in case something is not visible during the class, or you see if there is poor net connectivity, or in case there is video loss or some audio loss, please immediately communicate. Okay, please inform me so that I can understand. And we can take some steps. Right. What is written here? Can you read it? Drishti, can you read it?
So the first schedule to the Customs Tariff Act
Tariff.
1975.
So this is the fast schedule. You see, fast schedule covers about the fast section covers live animals. Live animals are covered in fast chapter. This is what I was showing you. Some examples. This is how. This is the harmonized system of nomenclature. You see, different animals, birds are classified. You see dogs. This is the code for dogs. This is the code for geese. Here, livestock are classified. Similarly, we'll see some other chapter. In some other chapter, we'll find out. You see, this is chapter 2. Chapter 2 talks about meat and edible meat. That portion, how they are classified. We'll see next chapter. Chapter 3 talks about the fish and some related items. I will show you some more chapter. You see, so many codes are there. Are you able to see? So each item, let us say a ribbon fish, has got a specific code. Okay, Hilsa has got a different code. Are you seeing it? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, different code. And
Yes,
these rates, don't get confused by these rates. These are not GST rates. These are customs rates. Because I am showing you the customs tariff schedule now. These are the rates of customs duty. So don't get confused by these rates. GST rates are different. But for finding out code, we are following HSN, and this is the HSN structure. For that thing only, we are referring to this customs tariff code. I wanted to go to some other schedule so that it will be easily understandable by you. Let us say chapter 3 is continuing. That's why everywhere you see code starts from 3. Now, chapter 4 is about milk and milk products. They are covered here. Chapter 5, products of animal origin. Like this, several chapters are there. All products are there. I will be showing you. Let me take you to this is one more chapter you see. As you can see, aluminum ore and this is many mineral chapter we have entered into. You see everything has got a code. This is the main code. Then you see various subcodes are there. Like this, all goods are classified. Okay. So you can refer to this custom tariff schedule, or I will be sending you a copy of it. You can later on refer to this. Okay. Later on, you can refer to this and find out how various goods are classified. Just a minute. Are you seeing slide now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So by referring to the fast schedule of custom tariff act, we can understand what is HSN, and how in a harmonized manner goods are classified. And for services, one more thing we have to remember. All assessees having turnover of 5 crore and above, mandatorily they have to mention HSN or SAC code. SAC code is for services. That is called service accounting code. In that tax invoice. In the tax invoice, these codes has to be mentioned. Okay, I'll show you again one more tax invoice. Let us see. It is not mandatory, but it is mandatory for those people whose turnover exceeds 5 crore. Okay, you see. Here you see in this bill, can you see something is written here? What is written here? Where I am showing the cursor?
SAC.
SAC code.
This is SAC code. This code means this is service accounting code. For this kind of services, this is the accounting code. Okay, other bill also I can show you. Here also you see one more bill. Are you seeing the SAC code? So if the assessee's turnover is more than 5 crore, it is mandatory for him. For all tax invoices, he has to show this SAC code. Okay, understood? Understood how SAC code is to display? Not for all. If the turnover exceeds 5 crore, then SAC code or HSN has to be disclosed. Okay, this is again a picture of custom tariff act given to you. This is how things are codified. And under custom tariffs schedule that we are referring to, there is a chapter, there is a section, there is a heading, group, service codes. Finally, this is how it is classified. So normally in HSN code, we find 8-digit codes. First 2 digits represent the chapter heading. Next 2 digits represent the heading. First 2 digits heading chapter, then they represents the, suppose third chapter we are saying, the chapter code will be 03. Then headings will be there, then subheadings. This is how goods are classified. Okay, you see, this is one more example. I'm showing you. This is again, you see, 8-digit code. This comes under chapter 49. Heading is 11. Subheadings are 990, 9901, 10. So this talks about other printed matter, including so many things. 1020 like this. This is how it is classified. This is a list of service accounting codes. This is an example. Let us say this service talks about construction services of some nature, dwelling or multi-dwelling, multi-student residential things. There is one more code for a different kind of for construction of old age homes, homeless shelters, so that it can be clearly classified that which kind of services rendered to. Understood what is chapter heads? And now what are these HSN code and what are these SAC? Did you understand this? Yes or no? Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Having understood this, we'll enter into one more area. This is again compensation cess. And few minutes before I was telling you, there are some items on which one additional cess is levied. Okay. And they are mostly luxury items, or we can say demerit items like tobacco product, etc. This is an additional cess. Additional GST is levied. You know, compensation cess is specified as per GST Tax Compensation to States Cess Act 2017. When GST law is passed, this is one more law is passed. Why it is passed? The purpose of this act, that is GST Compensation to States Cess Act 2017, is that states can be compensated. Why we need to compensate the state? Because there is a possibility that some states may lose their tax revenue. Because we are moving from one system to different kind of system. Under GST system, we are moving towards a consumption-based taxation system, where the consuming states will be getting more revenue and producing states may lose revenue. Right? So there are some producing states, which states that they thought that it will be difficult for them to adopt or to shift to a GST system. So therefore, center assured them that they will be compensated. Therefore, this law is passed. How center can compensate? Center will collect something called as compensation cess, and center will be compensating these states for the loss they will be suffering because of GST implementation. Understood this? And this is levied on luxury items and demerit goods. Are you clear about the objective of this compensation cess? Why this cess is levied? Is it clear to you? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this compensation state is cess is leviable on intrastate supplies and also on interstate supplies. Meaning for all kind of supplies, this cess is leviable. And purpose I explained you just now, because GST is charged at the time of supply and depends on the destination of consumption. So therefore, suppose for example, I will take suppose some goods are manufactured in state A, but they are consumed in state B. So the GST revenue will go to the state B where it is consumed. So consequently, state A will be the sufferer. He will be losing the GST. Therefore, center will compensate state A. Center will compensate state A by collecting compensation cess. Right? So this was introduced when GST law was introduced. This thing was also introduced. But now current situation is that the compensation cess will be levied for the first 5 years only. That means from 2017, 1st July 2017 to 1st July 2022. Till that time only compensation cess will be levied. That is the current situation. Maximum center will be compensating the states for 5 financial years. Is it clear to you? Did you understand what is compensation cess? Yes or no? Others?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear to you what is compensation cess?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's payable by all taxpayers except who are exporting some specified notified goods, and those who are opted for composition scheme. That is one more scheme we will be learning shortly. What is composition scheme under GST? So for people who are opting for composition scheme, that is an optional scheme. In that scheme, what happens? Instead of availing input tax credit, instead of availing ITC, tax is levied at a flat rate. Okay, maybe 1%, maybe 5%, maybe 6%. At a flat rate, tax is levied. That is called as composition scheme. Okay, on whatever may be the taxable value, on that if tax is charged on a flat rate, and these people who have opted for composition scheme, they cannot take ITC. So except the people who have opted for composition scheme and except those people who are exporting some specified notified goods, all other taxpayers are liable to pay compensation cess. Right? And if this cess is paid, one can avail ITC on that cess also. Right? Suppose you have paid SGST, CGST plus compensation cess. SGST and CGSTs are definitely eligible for ITC. Compensation cess is also eligible for ITC, but there is a condition. Condition is that the input tax credit of compensation cess can only be utilized for compensation cess. That means cess can be utilized for cess. GST cess credit can be utilized for GST. GST cess credit cannot be utilized for CGST, SGST, or IGST. Is it clear to you?
No, sir, repeat.
Yeah, I will be repeating this thing. Yeah, please understand. When you pay, let us say IGST, you can let's say at the time of purchasing something you are paying IGST. You can avail the credit of IGST. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. But let us say you are purchasing something on which you are paying IGST plus compensation cess. IGST you are paying plus compensation cess also you are paying. Now here you have to remember, credit is available for IGST. There is no doubt about this. Right? Credit is also available for compensation cess. You can take credit. But by using that credit, you cannot settle your CGST liability, SGST liability, or IGST liability. Then you might be thinking, then what I will do with that credit? What you can do, if some compensation cess is payable, right? So you can use this compensation cess credit for settling compensation cess liability. Is it clear, or should I once again repeat?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear, or should I repeat?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Wait a minute. Let us take an example. Let us say you are a cab operator or you are a traveling agent. Okay, fine, right? Now, if you are a traveling agent, let us say you are purchasing a luxury car, because in car normally, unless you are having a traveling business, you cannot take input credit. Okay, are you understanding me? Are you
What,
listening?
sir?
I am giving an example of a traveling agent or a cab operator, right? Because the example I am taking a product or taking a goods which is a car, luxury car, and for car, if you buy a car, you cannot take input credit. You need to remember this. Input credit can be taken for car purchase only by tour operators, travel operators like this. So here in our example, let us say you are a tour operator or you are a cab operator, and you are buying a luxury car. And while buying luxury car, you are paying IGST plus GST cess, which I am calling is as the compensation cess. Okay, both the things you are paying. IGST plus luxury cess plus this is a luxury car.
Sir,
Right.
excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So you are not audible clearly.
Okay. Let me increase the volume a little bit. So if I talk like this, is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Because of the distance between the speaker, sometimes voice is not audible. Let us. I'll be sharing you the recorded classes also. You may go through it later on. Okay, let us quickly go to this example. So my example is that you are paying IGST and you are also paying GST cess or compensation cess. You have understood this? Keep on responding.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, whatever IGST you have paid as input, that you can take credit. That credit can be used for settling output liability. If output GST is payable, you can settle it. Okay, IGST credit can be utilized for IGST liability. Okay, we will subsequently learning it can also be utilized for CGST liability. It can also be utilized for SGST liability. IGST credit can be utilized. But compensation cess can be utilized only for settling a GST cess. If some other luxury product you are selling on which compensation cess is payable, then compensation cess can be settled against compensation cess liability only. It cannot be settled for IGST liability, CGST liability, or SGST liability. Are you getting me? Is it clear? It's audible or not?
Sir?
Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Did you
Sir,
understand? Yeah.
so I want, so basically, we can meet our IGST, CGST liability with the help of GST cess, but compensation cess will be used for manufacturing expenses to meet the so what is the use of compensation cess?
Compensation cess, you see, purpose is different. Use is that. Use is that you can use it for settling a compensation cess liability.
Like the
Like example, let us say now I'll give you a better example. Let us say you are a car dealer. You have a car dealership. Fine. You will be buying luxury cars from the manufacturer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And a luxury car, there is compensation cess. So when you are buying, Yeah,
So we'll be
let-
paying IGST and compensation plus.
compensation cess. Right. You'll be paying IGST plus compensation cess. Right. Okay. Let us say you are a Maruti dealer. Fine. You are buying car from the manufacturer. So you'll be paying IGST plus compensation cess. Fine. Now you are selling the car to a customer here, or let us say selling a car to a customer of a different state. Fine. So you'll be paying IGST plus compensation cess. Yes or no?
So if I'll be selling, then my customer will be paying me also.
No. You will be paying, you will be collecting from the customer.
Oh,
Customer
okay,
will be
sir.
paying you, but you will be
Yes,
paying
sir.
to the government.
Yes, sir.
Is it not? So who will be paying? You are paying tax to the government. Incidentally,
Yes,
you are collecting it from the customer.
sir. Yes, sir.
Is it not? So your responsibility is that to deposit that money with government.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Suppose, so therefore, when you are depositing the money with government, you will be also paying compensation cess. Because it's a luxury car.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at that time, for settling your compensation cess liability, you can use your compensation cess credit.
Yes, understood.
Okay. But for settling your IGST liability, you cannot use compensation cess credit. You got an IGST liability also. For settling that thing, you cannot use compensation cess. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Understood? Is it clear to you? So compensation cess credit can be utilized only for compensation cess liability. It cannot be utilized for settling of CGST, SGST or IGST. Okay. So therefore, if you read the last part of the last bullet point here, the input tax credit claimed on such a case means with reference to compensation cess, can only be utilized for paying GST cess and not CGST, SGST or IGST. So this part is important for us. Okay. Is it clear now? It's clear now? Should I move ahead? Shweta?
So my net was fluctuating a lot. So
Or network is fluctuating a lot. Okay.
The same here, sir. Mine also, sir.
Right. I think there is some connectivity problem now. So we'll do one thing. We'll stop the class right now. So we'll catch up again tomorrow. I can understand there are some network issues right now. Everywhere it is some kind of problem.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So from this point, we'll continue our class tomorrow. And be ready. We may conduct a test tomorrow also. We may conduct a test. Be ready. Keep your pen, paper, calculator with you readily available so that any moment you can conduct a test. Okay, we'll stop our class here now.
On which
And
topic, sir?
Yeah, some of you have not shared your roll number in chat box. Please do.
चलो भाई चलो चलो चलो
Hello.